LoveLore Library. Chapter 251, Mew. Woof. Too damn it. That's sweet. Little tiger, say it again. Enriching quickly regained her focus and smiled even more gently. Mew. The three-striped cub mewed again obediently and buried its head in Enriching's bosom. Howl. The snow wolf tugged at Enriching's robe with its claws as it growled. Tears shimmered in its eyes. It's all right, Snow Wolf. You can learn to bark like a dog. Enriching broke into a bright smile as she lowered her eyes to glance at the snow wolf. The snow wolf's eyes sparkled with hope. Howl, woof. Howl, woof. Howl. The snow wolf had actually howled like a wolf every time it tried to bark like a dog. How could this three-striped cub mew like another animal so easily? The snow wolf's eyes reddened and darted around anxiously. Seeing the snow wolf, Enriching burst into laughter. It's all right. I was fooling around with you. It's late. Let's get back to the Imperial City. As Enriching had informed Luli before she left the city. This time, she would not create a great stir like before. Since Enriching had found the iron-blooded troop, so she did not want to stay in the forest any longer. Growl. Seeing Enriching wanting to leave, the three-striped tiger hurriedly rushed to stop her. You don't want me to leave? Stunned, Enriching paused her steps as she asked. The three-striped tiger still needs more help. The three-striped tiger stroked Enriching's feet with its head, walked past her, and walked further down into the cave. The three-striped tiger wants me to go deep into the cave. Enriching stroked her chin and contemplated for a while before she continued. Let's check it out. The cave was dark and damp. The three-striped tiger paused halfway through and turned its head to look at Enriching as if it wanted to talk to Enriching. You want me to go in? Enriching simply did not know what she would encounter deep inside the cave. However, she knew that the three-striped tiger would not hurt her. Seeing the Enriching understood what it was trying to tell her, the three-striped tiger's eyes flickered as it nodded. Why don't you go in with us? Enriching knitted her brows together. The three-striped tiger lowered its head. Fact was, the three-striped tiger wanted to go in, but it was actually a place where spirit beasts were not able to enter. Are you worried about your cubs? Just go back to take care of them. I can go in on my own. Seeing the three-striped tiger's face, Enriching thought that the three-striped tiger was worrying about its cubs. Master, it's not a good idea to go in if we don't know what is deep inside the cave. Tangzi hesitated. A faint smile hung on Enriching's lips. Tangzi was right. Enriching should never get into the cave for safety purpose. However, with Fu Chen's strength, he could definitely detect the danger that lay within the whole forest of spirit beasts. Since he did not alert Enriching, she was safe. However, Enriching could not tell Tangzi. She only smiled as she said. Don't worry, Tangzi. My intuition has never failed me. Well, your subordinate is at your command. Since Enriching insisted on going in, Tangzi did not talk further but stand resolutely beside her. Chapter 252, Mew. Woof. 3 Howl. Feeling that the three-striped cub was a threat, the snow wolf was the first who rushed into the deep to impress its master and win her heart back. Boom. However, just as the snow wolf moved further into the deep cave, a powerful force came from deep inside the cave. In a flash, the snow wolf was thrown out of the cave and groaning in pain. Howl. Enriching was dumbstruck by astonishment and quickly understood why the three-striped tiger stopped moving further. Spirit beasts could never get deeper into the cave. What is actually hiding in the cave? Enriching was burning with curiosity. The snow wolf got up from the ground, shook its head and crawled up to Feng Ruching for comfort. Since you couldn't get in, you just stay here. I will look for you later when I come out. Feng Ruching sighed as she said. The snow wolf was growling as it did not want to stay there together with the three-striped cub. Stay here. Otherwise, I will not give you divine spirit fruit for one day. The snow wolf quickly regained its composure and stopped growling. Tiger Mama, please take care of my friends. Don't let them walk out of here, it's dangerous out there. Especially this snow wolf, it's too wild. If it bumps into Tier 5 spirit beasts outside, it could definitely never defeat or escape from them and may end up being the food of the spirit beasts. Feng Ruching raised her head to look at the three-striped tiger. The three-striped tiger merely nodded to show that it understood Feng Ruching's words. Let's go. Feng Ruching turned to look at Qin Chen and the iron-blooded troop. It was true that only the spirit beasts could not enter the deep cave. Feng Ruching and the rest had gotten into the deep cave easily. Simply no one knew how long had Feng Ruching walked in the cave. Suddenly a bright light pierced her eyes. Feng Ruching subconsciously covered her eyes and walked toward the light. When she approached the light, it turned out that the light was actually the exit of the dark and damp cave. Feng Ruching stepped out of the dark cave without any hesitation and a lush green landscape under a vast azure sky came into sight. It was a completely different world outside the cave. Slightly startled, it struck her that there was something familiar about this place, the medium. Right, it was the medium. Apart from the Divine Herbs sect building, everything in this place was way too similar to the medium. Master, what is this place? Lost in wonder, Tang Zi looked at the surroundings in astonishment. This place is filled with dense spiritual qi. Each reclusive family had its own sacred land for cultivation and the spiritual qi was more dense than the outside world. Hence, the cultivator could make a breakthrough faster than usual. Even though the cultivator of the reclusive world was of the same talent or even inferior to those from the secular world, their cultivation would definitely be higher because of the sacred land for cultivation. Previously, Tang Zi was a rare talent of the Tang family and had cultivated in the sacred land. However, the sacred land for the Tang family's cultivation was absolutely no match for this. This place was far superior. Chapter 253, Mew. Woof. For, if I could train here, surely my training will be more effective. Tang Zi was excited. Feng Ruching kept quiet. There was a great change in Feng Ruching's medium when she made a breakthrough to true warrior tier. Feng Ruching not only could bring the spirit herb seeds into the medium, but her spiritual qi was indeed more powerful there. There was no difference from the place where they were staying. So, Feng Ruching learned to train in the medium instead of at the mountain. Hence, the spiritual qi in this place was really not very appealing to Feng Ruching. Qin Chen, who was standing next to Feng Ruching, did not make any comments. For him, the powerful spiritual qi there was nothing compared to what Feng Ruching possessed. The powerful spiritual qi was useless to Qin Chen. Qin Chen could only train with Feng Ruching's spiritual qi. Tang Zi, let's move on. There might be some valuable treasures because of the powerful spiritual qi. We could train later. Tang Zi nodded her head slightly. You're right. We can train later. There's no need to rush. Greed would cause pain. Tang Zi had just made a breakthrough to Spirit Warrior tier. It was not advisable for her to continue her training without consolidating her own strength now. Let's go. Feng Ruching walked ahead. Everyone knew those spirit herbs could only be cultivated with powerful spiritual qi. However, Feng Ruching's tactics were exceptional. This place was filled with enough spiritual qi, and nobody had ventured into it for many years. So, Feng Ruching discovered a lot of spirit herbs throughout their journey. There were grade 2 and grade 3 spirit herbs. Moreover, there were also grade 4 and grade 5 spirit herbs. Feng Ruching still could not cultivate these spirit herbs now because she was not that powerful yet. Hence, she did not let go of the golden opportunity of picking the spirit herbs and planting them in her medium. Tang Zi was stunned at first when she saw that the spirit herbs in Feng Ruching's hands disappeared soon after they were picked. Tang Zi then realized what had happened. There must be some kind of storage bag in the prince's hands. It's not a wonder if the spirit herbs disappeared just like that. Mom! There's a spirit spring. Mom! There's a spirit spring. Feng Ruching heard Qin Han's excited voice when she was just putting another spirit herb in the medium. Spirit spring. What's that? I finally know why this place is filled with powerful spiritual qi. It's because of the existence of Spirit Spring. This place had become a spirit spring. Mom, Spirit Spring is a good thing. If you use it to take a bath, your strength could be improved. Feng Ruching's eyes brightened at this. This place was filled with sufficient spiritual qi. If she allowed Tang Zi and her troops to train here, they might gain more strength. These living people can never go into my medium. If there's a spirit spring, they might make a breakthrough faster if there's a spirit spring. Qin Han, where's the spirit spring? Walk left and there's a spirit spring 300 meters away. You can take a bath there. Feng Ruching was all smiles after she knew the location of the spirit spring. It's good to have an obedient daughter. It seems that I need to train harder and improve my strength to cultivate more spirit herbs with higher grades for my daughter. Now, she also needed to take care of her son and daughter. Although Feng Ruching had always bullied Fu Qin, but it was all done just to protect herself. She knew that she needed to be responsible if she took them under her wings. Tang Zi, Chainer, come with me. Feng Ruching smiled happily. It is not useless coming to Forest of Spirit Beasts this time. Chapter 254, The Ninth Emperor's dwelling place. The spiritual qi was even more dense when they walked further. Tang Zi and the troops could not help but feel that the spiritual qi in their bodies shook with excitement. A beautiful spirit spring appeared in front of them after a short while. The spirit spring was white and clear like a delicious wine. There was even a shadowy mist circling the spirit spring. It was just like heaven. Princess, this, Tang Zi was stunned, her eyes widened. Tang Zi could feel that the spiritual qi of the spirit spring was even higher and more powerful than the spiritual qi in this place. This is a spirit spring, Tang Zi. Just go ahead and lead the people and the troops to cultivate here. Feng Ruching bit her lip slightly. Chainer, follow me. There might be something else there other than a spirit spring, so she could not waste her time there. As Fu Chen's body was special, the spirit spring was useless to him. I'll just go with Feng Ruching. Then, what about Princess? Tang Zi was stunned as she asked hesitantly. Feng Ruching smiled slightly. I want to stroll around. Don't bother about me. If I don't find anything interesting, I'll come back for the training. All right. Tang Zi nodded her head slightly. Then, I'll just wait for you here. Feng Ruching gave her orders. Then, she straightened her sleeves, turned, and said, Chainer, let's go. Fu Chen did not say anything. He followed behind quietly. The spirit spring was indeed useless to him. Moreover, there might be some dangers. I'll not worry so much if I stay beside Qing Qing. Mommy, there might be something valuable which can help to cultivate the spirit spring. Moreover, it might be near the spirit spring. You can just follow the trail of the spirit spring, and you'll find it. Qin Han's cute and energetic voice circled around Feng Ruching's soul. Yes. Qin Han's more obedient compared to Fu Qin. It's no wonder she's my little baby. Chainer. Feng Ruqing smiled and turned toward Fu Qin. There might be some valuable treasures nearby. Help me to find them. If you find them, I'll share them with you. Qin Chen's eyes were crystal clear. He faced Feng Ruqing. He did not appear cold or distant. There was even a smile on his face. It was like he was shy and timid. They are all yours. I'm yours too. Feng Ruqing was slightly touched when she heard the first part of the sentence. But, it was like Feng Ruqing was hit by lightning when she heard what Fu Qin said in the second part of the sentence. Her smile froze. This. Chainer, you're my younger brother. It was because Fu Qin looked so much like Feng Ruqing's former live's younger brother that Feng Ruqing could not help but treat him as her family. Qin Chen used his sleeves to protect Feng Ruqing. It prevented the flowers from falling on Feng Ruqing's hair. Qin, I'll be who you want me to be. Feng Ruqing finally sighed relief. She smiled. Then, let's go. All right. Feng Ruqing could avoid wasting her energy in doing useless stuff after Qin Han's appearance. Feng Ruqing found the eye of the spirit spring after a short while. It was connected to the spirit spring which they had found just now. There was endless white fluid flowing out of the eye of the spirit spring. This eye of the spirit spring might be the one connected to that spirit spring. But it is too small for us to take a bath here. It was only the eye of the spirit spring. It was small and narrow. Chapter 255. The Ninth Emperor's dwelling place to the spirit spring was only a normal spring if the eye of the spirit spring was not there. The spring became a spirit spring because there was spirit water flowing out of the eye of the spirit spring. Mommy, the spirit water is used for drinking purpose. It's not for bathing. Fu Qin was talking now, his tone sarcastic. It was like Fu Qin was criticizing Feng Ruqing's lack of knowledge. Qin Han asked you to take a bath there just now because the spirit water was diluted by the spring water. It won't be very effective if you drink that water. You could only take a bath there and cultivate slowly. But, you can drink this spirit water. Fu Chen's voice trembled. He was hesitant. But, if you want to drink this spirit water, you can only do that after you have reached Immortal Warrior tier. It's better if you reach the end of Immortal Warrior tier and you use the spirit water to make a breakthrough to King Warrior tier. The power of the spirit water is too high. If you're not careful, you might be killed. Feng Ruqing's lips contorted weirdly. The most powerful person in Luyun Kingdom only made a breakthrough to Spirit Warrior tier. How long would it take before I reach Immortal Warrior tier? You mentioned that we could drink this spirit water just now. Feng Ruqing's eyes narrowed. What about if we don't drink this spirit water directly? That's simple. You can put in a drop of the spirit water when you're making the spirit herbs dish. It will not only increase the effectiveness of the spirit herbs but it will also help others to make a breakthrough faster with the spiritual qi in the spirit herbs dish. For sure, we can use this spirit water to water the spirit herbs. We can use a scoop of the spirit water for this purpose. But, be sure to water only those spirit herbs with spiritual wisdom. It's a waste to use this water to water those spirit herbs which have no spiritual wisdom. Feng Ruqing did not have a chance in finding those spirit herbs with spiritual wisdom because they were too rare in this world. Feng Ruqing stroked her own chin. We could use this for watering purpose. What about you? Do you need that? Fu Qin kept quiet. After a while, Fu Qin used a rather confused voice and replied. We just want to eat spirit herbs. We don't need spirit water. The Ninth Emperor had always watered them with spirit water during those days so that the two of them could grow so fast. Usually, regular water was useless to the spirit herbs that possessed spiritual wisdom. The spirit herbs needed spirit water to grow. If they had grown well, they did not need the spirit water anymore. They needed to eat other spirit herbs to grow. However, the spirit herbs which they could eat had no spiritual wisdom. It was because the spirit herbs that possessed spiritual wisdom were no longer just spirit herbs. Understood. Feng-Ruching breathed a sigh of relief slowly. I'm only worried that these two little fellows would steal and drink my spirit water if I brought it back. But, now I'm relieved. Feng-Ruching took out a wine jar from the medium when she thought of this. She poured out all the spirit wine onto the ground. Then, she put the wine jar beside the eye of the spirit water. If Master Nayland saw what Feng-Ruching just did, he might be so infuriated that he would scold Feng-Ruching harshly. It was a waste to throw away the valuable spirit wine. But Feng-Ruching had nothing to store the spirit water. She had no choice but to do what she just did. Every time, there was only a drop of spirit water flowing out of the eye of the spirit spring. But Feng-Ruching was a greedy person. If she wanted to fill the wine jar, it might take quite some time. After some consideration, Feng-Ruching took out all the pots and pans given by Tiger Mama from the medium. Then, she took out the spirit herbs and other ingredients. She could not slack off even though she was there. Whether to lose weight or cultivate, it had to be done at the same time. Chapter 256, The Ninth Emperor's Dwelling Place 3. There was only spirit herbs dish which could motivate Feng-Ruching to be this diligent. Feng-Ruching made 2 spirit herbs dishes this time. One was to be used for slimming purpose, and another was for her to share with Qin-Chen. Feng-Ruching stood up when she completed the spirit herbs dishes. She raised her eyes and looked at Qin-Chen, who was standing not very far from her. Feng-Ruching smiled happily. "Chainer, I guess that you're hungry now. Come. Let's eat together." Qin-Chen turned and saw Feng-Ruching's beautiful smile. Suddenly, that smile was like a breeze, and it was deeply imprinted on Qin-Chen's heart. It was a smile which Qin-Chen could never forget. "All right," he responded with a smile. The smile was innocent. It was just like a sheet of white paper without the stains of blood. Feng-Ruching still did not know that the innocent and naive youth in front of her would one day become a cruel man for her sake. Half a month had passed by. A girl was sitting under the blue sky with her legs crossed and her eyes closed. Suddenly, she opened her eyes. She smiled slightly, and her complexion seemed like a beautiful picture. The training is indeed more effective after the usage of spirit water. Although I still have not made the breakthrough to true warrior tier, I'm almost there. If I put in a drop of spirit water into the spirit wine, it's possible that Grandpa could make the breakthrough to spirit warrior tier. She stood up. Then, she looked at the wine jar under the eye of the spirit spring. She raised her eyebrows slightly, then walked toward the eye of the spirit spring. A beautiful image was reflected on the surface of the spirit water. Feng-Ruching was stunned. She touched her cheeks softly. There was excitement on her face. The Feng-Ruching before had fair skin. Now, her skin had become fairer and more beautiful after the consumption of spirit herbs dishes. It was perfect without the use of any cosmetics. The only shortcoming was her plumpness. Feng-Ruching was still considered ugly because of her plumpness. But now, Feng-Ruching understood something now. She thought that slimming down would need a lot of time before meeting Fu-Qin. Now, she had finally slimmed down after only half a year. Qin-Chen had come to stand behind Feng-Ruching. "Qin-Chen, Chainer, do you think I'm pretty now?" Qin-Chen smiled. "You're beautiful both in the past and present. If you love someone, he or she will always be the most beautiful in your heart." The people who have fallen only for your appearance should never be trusted with your heart. Feng Ruqing could not help but laugh out loud. She kept the wine jar in the medium. Then, she turned and patted Qin Chen's cheeks with her slender fingers. Let's go. We have a lot of places to explore here. We cannot leave so soon. She felt that there was still something here which was attracting her. Feng Ruqing continued walking after leaving the eye of the spirit water. Her feelings that there was something she needed to find became stronger when she walked deeper into the forest. Feng Ruqing also did not know how long she had been walking. Suddenly, an ancient manor appeared in front of her. Her whole body froze at the sight of the ancient manor. She was surprised. Fu Chen, Qing Han, what's wrong? She had gone into the Divine Herbs sect in the medium. She had even strolled into different rooms there. It included the forbidden place which no one could enter. The manor of the ancestors. Chapter 257. The Ninth Emperor's dwelling place. For Fu Qin was unsure about the manor. I don't know. Why is this manor so similar to the Ninth Emperor's previous home? Mommy, Qing Han, and I have never left the Divine Herbs sect. I don't know about it. How would he know given that he was just a spirit herb? Who knew why there was a manor which looked just like the Ninth Emperor's previous home? The dragon and phoenix images at the entrance were the same. There was no difference. There should be only one dwelling place of the Ninth Emperor. The tactic formation at the entrance was impossible to be imitated. However, the tactical formation of the Divine Herbs sect was old and ancient. It might not be effective anymore. It seemed that the Ninth Emperor's dwelling place in the medium was a fake. Actually, it's easy to know whether there's any relation between this manor and the Ninth Emperor. There's a tactical formation at the entrance of the Ninth Emperor's home. Nothing can approach it. Mommy, you can try. Fu Qin kept quiet for a moment before speaking. Feng Ruqing raised her eyebrows. She picked up a stone then threw it at the entrance of the manor. Boom! The stone did not even make it to the entrance. A strong force hit the stone and the stone exploded. Fu Chen and Qin Han did not know what to say. The two spirit herbs in the medium were frightened. Was it possible that the Ninth Emperor's home had been substituted with a fake? The forbidden place which they had guarded for so long was a fake. Fu Chen, why are there two ancestors' dwelling places? It seemed that the manor in front of them was real. It's impossible. There's only one home of the Ninth Emperor. It's impossible to have two in this world. The one in the medium must be a fake. I thought that the tactical formation must be useless after so many years. But, I forgot that the tactical formation formed by the Ninth Emperor would never disappear as long as his soul is still alive. It might be because of their firm belief that a manor that large would never disappear in the Divine Herbs sect. So, they did not think too much when the manor could be entered with ease without the tactical formation. It was such with the spirit herbs which had low intelligence. Now they knew that they were being lied to. Then, how can we enter this place? There must be valuable treasures in the Divine Herbs sect's ancestors' home. Feng Ruqing's eyes brightened when she thought of this. She smiled and touched her chin softly. Nobody could solve the Ninth Emperor's tactic formation. Fu Chen shook his head and he seemed quite in despair. He was an unbeatable person in those days. Nobody could ever solve his tactical formation. Except himself. I'll try no matter what. It's fine even if I fail. Feng Ruqing kept quiet for a short while before venturing near the tactical formation. She put her palms softly on the tactic formation. A strong wave flowed out of her palms at that moment. She closed her eyes. Light spiritual chi gathered in her palms. She also used all of her strength to find the center of the tactical formation. Then, she transferred her spiritual chi there just to destroy the tactical formation. Fu Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head. That's useless. No one in this world could ever solve his tactical formation. Don't you try to. A loud explosion was heard before Fu Chen could finish his sentence. It seemed that something had exploded and the spiritual chi was endlessly flowing all around. A strong wind blew. Feng Ruqing's hair became rather messy in the wild wind. Feng Ruqing looked at her own hands in daze. She laughed a few times. The tactical formation is too old, so it was easy to be solved. Fu Chen did not know what to say. Chapter 258, I must protect her. Fu Chen did not say anything for a long time. Feng Ruqing felt rather awkward now. I just want to give it a try. The tactical formation might be too old, and it might lose its function. It has nothing to do with me. Don't you go and report me to the 9th Emperor when he returns in the future. It's the 9th Emperor's home. He might be angry if he knows that I have intruded it. Fu Chen and Qing Han were raised by the 9th Emperor. It's only beneficial if they're on the same page with me. Silence. Silence was all Feng Ruqing received in return. Feng Ruqing did not know what Fu Chen was thinking about. She was stunned and she called upon him. Fu Chen. In the medium, Fu Chen was hesitant and anxious. He opened his mouth to say something after a long time. If the tactical formation was ineffective because of its age, the tactical formation would no longer be there and it would not be so easily destroyed. But, he stopped for a while before speaking again. There must be some kind of bond between you and the 9th Emperor. So, you're able to enter the manor. Qing Han was stunned. She looked at Fu Chen cluelessly. Was it possible that she could solve the tactical formation if she had some kind of bond with the 9th Emperor? But, Brother Fu Chen knows very well that the tactical formation could only be solved by the 9th Emperor. Even if there's a child of the 9th Emperor, he or she might not be able to solve it too. Why did he say so? Fu Chen looked at Qing Han warningly. Qing Han soon kept quiet. She bit her lip, and seemed quite sad. I'll not let Mom know about it if it's not certain yet. Unless, wait until I've confirmed about it. Feng Ruqing was relieved after listening to what Fu Chen had said. She breathed a sigh of relief and walked toward the manor. The things inside the manor looked quite new even though the manor was an ancient one. It was no different than the other manors which were inhabited by others except for the fallen leaves. Qing, do you know what place is this? Qing Chen smiled slightly. His voice was clear. The 9th Emperor's home. There was one home of the 9th Emperor's in the medium, but it was a sham. However, the home in the medium was exactly like the real one. Feng Ruqing was quite familiar with it. She knew the locations of different rooms in the manor. I remember that there's a mountain of herbs in this home. If I were the 9th Emperor, I would hide all my treasures there. Moreover, Fu Chen and Qing Han grew up there too. There might be other treasures too. Let's go, Chainer. Let's go to the mountain of herbs. Feng Ruqing smiled. She knew the location of the mountain of herbs. So, she did not linger there, but she went toward the mountain of herbs directly. Qin Chen did not ask Feng Ruqing the reason of her familiarity with the place. He also did not ask her why she knew what place was that. He just trusted her. So, Qin Chen followed behind her when she walked toward the mountain of herbs. They disappeared under the blue sky. Feng Ruqing stopped walking when she reached the mountain of herbs. Feng Ruqing understood that the master of the mountain of herbs was the 9th Emperor. There must be a lot of spirit herbs. There's a lot of spirit herbs just outside of the manor. It's impossible if there's none here. But, what appeared in front of her was barren land. There were neither plant nor spirit herbs. There was not even grass. Even low-grade spirit herbs were not there. Chapter 259. I must protect her too. Fu Qin, where are the spirit herbs? Feng Ruqing was shocked. Fu Chen was quite pleased with himself. Are those spirit herbs important? They're only used by the 9th Emperor to feed us. There are no other spirit herbs if we're there. Spirit herbs. They'll never be there. There'll never be any other spirit herbs if they're there. Feng Ruqing was shocked. Unknowingly, Feng Ruqing became quite upset after listening to Fu Qin. Suddenly, she regretted planting all of her spirit herbs in the medium. I hope that these two fellows will leave behind some spirit herbs for me instead of eating all of them in the medium. Fu Qin, do you know where did the 9th Emperor hide his treasure? Fu Qin was silent for a while. I don't know much about the 9th Emperor. But, I know that there's a sacrificial altar behind the mountain of herbs. The 9th Emperor always went there before. Why don't you check it out? That'll do. The 9th Emperor's mountain of herbs was large. Feng Ruqing walked for a long time before she came out of the mountain of herbs. A forest appeared in front of her. There was a sacrificial altar in the middle of the forest. There were a dragon and phoenix stone monuments next to the sacrificial altar. Feng Ruqing felt that the two stone monuments were staring at her. That feeling was frightening and it made Feng Ruqing tremble. But Feng Ruqing still acted bravely and walked toward the sacrificial altar. It was like there was a force in the sacrificial altar which attracted Feng Ruqing. Be careful. Qin Chen looked at Feng Ruqing and suddenly his facial expression changed drastically. He rushed toward Feng Ruqing hurriedly. There was deep fear in his eyes. Qing. Run faster. Feng Ruqing stopped walking. The red dress was flapping from the wild wind. There were the dragon and phoenix stone monuments in front of her. But now, Feng Ruqing saw clearly that the dragon and phoenix in the stone monuments were trying to rush out of the monuments. A thunderous sound was heard. The dragon and phoenix roared. Feng Ruqing wanted to run away. But, her feet seemed to be rooted to the ground. She could not move. She could only look at the dragon and phoenix which were rushing at her, not being able to do anything. The dragon and phoenix rushed out of the stone monuments and used an explosive power to hit her. The power was so strong that it hit Feng Ruqing before Qin Chen could reach her. The remaining force hit Qin Chen and he was blown out of the way. He hit the ground hard. Qin Chen vomited a mouthful of blood. He stood up and ran toward Feng Ruqing with staggering steps. Fear, anxiety, and nervousness. A lot of emotions lingered in Qin Chen's heart. It was like a black hole, swallowing all of Qin Chen's senses. Qing, I'll use up all my strength to give you a world of peace even if everyone leaves you behind. I'll not leave you even if everyone lets you down and hurts you. You can fail me but I'll never fail you. I'll not admit that they're my family if my own family ever hurt you. I'll go with you if you want to leave this place. I'll not stay in this place which is cold and distant. Qing, I'll spend all of my money so that we could go back to how it was before. I'll do anything so that you'll be healthy. If I cannot save you in this life, I'll spend my next lifetime to protect you. I'll not let you live miserably and I'll give you a lifetime of warmth. Qin Chen's head was like a chaotic mess. There were different voices circling around in his head. Chapter 260. I must protect her 3. It was just like the dream Qin Chen had before he came to Forest of Spirit Beasts. There were Feng Ruqing and he in the dream. But, it was not the princess I knew, and I was not myself. Who? Who is it? Who is talking in my head? No, who am I? That voice. It's my voice. But I am not the one talking here. Why is that so? Who am I? Protect her. You must protect her. The voice in Qin Chen's head did not fade. Qin Chen raised his eyes, and he saw the girl who was surrounded by a light in the color of blood. Her whole body was immersed in that light. Her eyes were gently closed, and it seemed like she was no longer alive. Qing Qing. Qin Chen shouted loudly. His heart fell into a pit of deep despair. He wanted to rush into that light, but the light acted like a barrier. The barrier stopped him from approaching Feng Ruqing. He used up all his strength, but still he could not pull her out of that light. The girl's hair was moving softly in the light. Her eyes were closed softly. But her strength was improving incessantly. Lower True Warrior Tier. Intermediate True Warrior Tier. Advanced True Warrior Tier. Spirit Warrior Tier. Feng Ruqing was reaching the point of making a breakthrough to True Warrior Tier. But now she had made several leaps to Spirit Warrior Tier in a very short time. There was an innocent voice reaching out to them from the sky. Some of the redness in Qin Chen's eyes faded. Brother Fu Qin, we have finally left the medium. Look at Mother. What has happened to her? How can we help her? Two small figures appeared out of nowhere. They came to stand next to Feng Ruqing. The small girl was cute and energetic. Her eyes were bright and her smiling face was pretty and captivating. The small boy was rather serious compared to the small girl. But he was very beautiful, like a china doll. His features were exquisite. He was even more dazzling than an angel in a picture. She's really an idiot. She has absorbed too much power. Her body could not withstand it. If we do not help her, she'll eventually die. Fu Qin frowned. He looked at Qin Chen, and there was an evil smile on his face. Although a human's body cannot withstand the two forces left by the Ninth Emperor, he could at least help to share the forces. If he alone cannot do it, he'll go and drag the iron-blooded troops to come and help. Mother won't be in danger that way. Do you want to save her? Fu Qin glared with his beautiful eyes and asked with a smile. Qin Chen seemed very determined. Whatever it takes, he'll save her willingly. All right, wait for a while. He'll transfer her power to you. Remember not to absorb too much power. This power is too harsh. If there's too much of it, you'll die. His guardian liked this guy so much. If he dies because of wanting to save her, she would be very sad. So he needed to remind Qin Chen. However, Fu Qin turned and looked at Feng Ruqing. He fell into deep thought. Mother not only could solve the tactical formation but also could absorb the two forces left behind by the Ninth Emperor. Her presence caused the two forces to break out from the stone monuments. It's hard to say. Is she really? Chapter 261, The Warmth of That Kiss. What should I do? Qin Chen asked in a raspy voice and calmed down eventually. You don't have to do anything. I'll transfer her spiritual qi to you. Stop taking it if you can't stand it. Okay, got it. That was the first time Qin Chen saw Fu Qin. That little guy's concern toward Qin Qing seemed genuine. So he was willing to believe him for once. Qin Chen shut his eyes. He put down his guard for the moment. He would bear any price as long as he could save Qin Qing. Bang! A mighty and violent power suddenly rushed into Qin Chen's body. He shuddered as blood trickled from the corner of his lips. That spiritual power was gentle for Feng Ruqing. If Feng Ruqing wasn't that weak, she could have absorbed all the power. It was an opportunity that could make her evolve by leaps and bounds without facing any dangers. But as the power flowed into Qin Chen's body, it was so violent and it wanted to break out from his body. If Qin Chen did not suppress it, that spiritual power might have exploded from his body, that's right. Nobody but Mother can handle the Ninth Emperor's power. Fu Chen pursed his lips lightly as his eyes were filled with deep thoughts. Besides, he is not capable of enduring the spiritual power for her. I have to find another way to save them, Fu Chen sighed. He could not put Qin Chen's life and death aside just because he wanted to save his guardian. If Qin Chen were gone, Mother would be deeply sad. He tried to pull his palm back. But, the spiritual power that connected Feng Ruqing and Qin Chen were still flowing into Qin Chen's body. Fu Chen tried so hard to pull his hand back twice, but again, he could not draw that force out. Suddenly, Fu Chen's little face twisted in shock. Stop it. I told you to stop. Qin Chen gently closed his eyes without responding. A gentle breeze blew as his green robe fluttered along with a gust of violent wind. That little guy's words, yes, he heard it. It was just that, if he did nothing, Qin would explode and die. If that was the case, it was better to let him take it. Qin Chen's lips lifted gently. Because she was the only warmth in his life. The warmth that would never hurt him in his lifetime. Qin Chen's arms began to crack as the blood stained his arms red. His arms looked as if it was a cracked wine jar which would explode any second. Stop now. Fu Chen was panicking. After all, a spirit herb's IQ did not allow itself to think deeply and consider far. So, it was natural that the spirit herb would not think of Qin Chen. Brother Fu Chen, what should we do? Will he die? Qin Han's eyes were teary as she was pulling Fu Chen's sleeves in fear. If he died, Mother would feel very sad and it would hurt her. Fu Chen was suddenly stunned. He could not help but imagine the young girl suffering heartbreak in his mind. His heart skipped a beat, and his face turned pale. No matter how bad Feng Ruqing had treated him, it was impossible not to grow some feelings toward her after spending so much time together. He did not want Feng Ruqing to die, and also, to make her cry her heart out. Qin Chen had already opened his eyes in spite of the storm. Beyond the pair of clear and bright eyes, he stared at the red glow which shrouded that young girl. Chapter 262, The warmth of that kiss. Too, his eyes were as gentle as water. Besides, the eyes were filled with the sadness of leaving, perseverance, and countless other emotions. Qin, I won't let you be in trouble. Even if I have to give up on my own life, I will never put you in any danger. Bang! Suddenly, the spiritual power that surrounded Feng Ruqing flowed into Qin Chen uncontrollably. Just like a tiny boat in the storm, he was alone and helpless. What's this all about? Fu Chen was astonished. This little guy, what the hell was going on? How could he take all the force that Mother could not absorb? Fu Chen did not expect this to happen. Qin Han. Stop him. Fu Chen gritted his teeth. Fu Chen was the medium in transferring Feng Ruqing's spiritual power to Qin Chen. However, he could not pull back his hands from Qin Chen due to Qin Chen's sudden transformation. This difficult task could only be handed over to Qin Han. Okay, Brother Fu Chen, Qin Han replied gently. Suddenly, there were vines appearing behind her and immediately struck at Qin Chen. All the vines wrapped around Qin Chen's body in a blink of an eye. However, Qin Han gave a sharp pull. Qin Chen still stood on the ground steadily as if nothing happened. Qin Han, are you still hungry? Where's your power? Fu Chen asked in frustration. The fact was that this little human kid was different from Mother. He could not last long. He would explode if they took no action. Qin Han blushed in fear. I am full, I ate a lot. But I haven't digested yet. I will gain my strength after I have digested. Yeep, that was because she had not digested yet. Fu Chen glanced at her in disdain. You should never let mother know what had happened just now. She is vicious. If she found out that you are useless, she will never give you any spirit herbs anymore. Qing Han bit her lip and said, I'm useful, I am really useful. She sounded so weak and innocent. Fu Chen had no time to care for Qing Han. His forehead was covered in a layer of cold sweat. Qing Chen was no different from a bloody person at that moment. His face had already cracked as blood was oozing out, which was really horrifying to see. Qing Chen said hoarsely. If Qing asks what happened, just tell her that I went home, I had gone back to my original home and will never come back. Tell her not to come for me, Qing is such a warm person. If she knows him dead, she will be very sad. But how could I make her sad? Let her think as if he had left and would never come back again. Qing Chen gently closed his eyes. The corners of his lips lifted gently as something was running inside his head. Goodbye, Qing. Forgive me for not being able to protect you anymore. No. Fu Chen's eyes popped as he shouted hoarsely. A white ray flashed through the sky. Bang! The ray fell upon the back of Qing Chen's neck. He shuddered, fell, and crashed heavily to the ground. Those violent forces that had been surrounding him vanished as he fainted. Fu Chen could finally pull his hand back. The spiritual power that connected Feng Ruqing and Qing Chen had disappeared all of a sudden. Chapter 263. The warmth of that kiss. 3 fallen leaves spread all over the front of the altar. Covered in blood, Qing Chen lay on the fallen leaves. His breath was weak but never stopped. All the maple leaves under him were stained red. Fu Chen was stunned. He helplessly watched the figure in white shirt descending from the sky, pass through the bloody area, and pull the young girl who was in a coma into his arms. The blood stood out against the man's white shirt. He had a handsome and distinguished countenance without peer. Nobody could be better than him in terms of good-looking or the aura of divinity. He stood on the green lotus, just like a banished immortal. He surpassed the secular world, so pure that nothing could taint him. The man caressed Feng Ruqing's hair and gently moved her head near to his eyes. He looked down, and he lowered his lips to be pressed onto her pale lips. Bang! As his lips fell on that young girl's lips, an infinite spiritual power flowed from her lips into his body. At first, the spiritual power was inexhaustible that Feng Ruqing could not take all of it. Then, there was a place to accommodate the spiritual power at the moment, so the power surged up like a swarm of bees. Qing Han's eyes popped as she looked at the man without unblinkingly. Brother Fu Chen, is that our father? Fu Chen looked at the man with some complex feelings. He was pissed off to have a mother for no reason, now even a father. Should he call the emperor grandpa when he encountered the emperor in the future? That was too terrible. Brother Fu Chen, is father here to save mother? Qing Han's big eyes blinked as she said, but why did father bite mother? Does father like biting as much as I do? Fu Chen was speechless. Your biting, and father's rewarding bite, are different. The red glow that surrounded Feng Ruqing dissipated after quite a while. Nan Xian slowly put the young girl he was carrying onto the ground. The young girl's hair fluttered along with the breeze. The cracked wounds on her hands had slowly recovered. As she was still unconscious, her hands were left swinging on both sides. He was gentle and slow. He gently put the young girl on the ground and lay upon the thick, fallen leaves. Then, he looked at Fu Chen and Qing Han with that dim and cold eyes. Qing Han ran toward Nan Xian smilingly and said, Father, finally you're here to save mother. Nan Xian said nothing. He looked down at the young girl who lay on the fallen leaves. His eyes flashed dimly. He did not reply to Qing Han, but he did not deny how he was being addressed as well. As usual, the man's voice was slow and gentle but indifferent. He said, "Don't let her know that I was here." Qing Han blinked her big eyes, innocently. Why? Why? Nan Xian's lips lifted indistinctly. "I'm afraid that if she knew what had happened, she will try to kill herself." Qing Han was stunned. Mother would kill herself. Why? Fu Chen quickly tugged at Qing Han's sleeves and replied, "I understand and please don't worry. I won't tell Mother that you were here before." He was not that ignorant Qing Han who knew nothing. He was a clever one. So he knew well how vital was virginity to a human woman. It was true that Mother was always flirting with Father. But if someone had really harassed her, she would kill herself. After all, that day when Mother was drunk, she had slapped Father as Father had wanted to get close to her, which implied that she valued virginity very much. She must not know this. Nan Xian looked down at Feng Ruching again. He turned around and vanished under the sky. Chapter 264. The warmth of that kiss. For as Nan Xian left the altar, he could not stand it any more as fresh blood surged from his throat. He spat it on the ground. This power is too strong. Even I cannot bear it. Master. Qing Zhu peeped from behind Nan Xian and asked sadly, "Are you okay?" Nan Xian lowered his eyes and thought for a while. He smiled faintly and said, "I will be all right after I force all of these powers out again." Qing Zhu looked confused. Was that true? Why did it feel that Master was not feeling well? "Master, why did you say those words to those two little kids just now? The princess wishes to throw you into the bed whenever she sees you. Why would she kill herself?" Nan Xian glanced at Qing Zhu calmly. "It's because, if she knew that I had absorbed the powers for her, she would know that I'm hurt. I don't want to let her know." He did not want to make her feel that she owed him. But those two little things, would they really be fooled by your lies? Qing Zhu asked hesitantly. That two little things had been on the prince's side for quite a long time. Being a snake itself, it could already tell its master lies from truths as soon as it heard it. How could that two little things be deceived so easily? The corners of Nan Xian's lips gently lifted. That two spirit herbs would not think much with such limited intelligence. They will just believe what you tell them. Well, without any reason, Qing Zhu pitied those two spirit herbs. All of them were creatures that possessed spiritual intelligence. How could there be such stupid spirit herbs in this world? Spirit herb. A spirit creature that was easier to be fooled than the spirit beasts. All Feng Ruching felt was that her body was cracking. It felt like something was trying to tear her heart and lungs off. But soon she was surrounded by a feeling of warmth. The spiritual power that spread inside her body had been absorbed and suddenly faded away. She thought she saw a very gentle and handsome face in the vagueness. The look was so mesmerizing, which made her heart beat uncontrollably. State Preceptor, beneath the sunlight, Feng Ruching gradually opened her eyes and rubbed her aching temples. She could not help but smile bitterly after realizing where she was at the moment. She had missed State Preceptor too much. She had even met him in her dreams. It appeared that State Preceptor had kissed her in the dream. "Mother, you're awake." Qing Han immediately noticed Feng Ruching opened her eyes. She collapsed into her arms excitedly and said, "Yay, finally you're awake. Oh, by the way, Father said he did not come before, he did not bite you, and he would never say that you will kill yourself." "Mother, please, believe me, Father said nothing before." Feng Ruching was speechless. What the heck was all that about? Qing Han. Fu Chen's face twisted in anger as he hurriedly dragged Qing Han from Feng Ruching's arms. "What are you babbling about? Qin Han's eyes were filled with grief. I didn't babble. Father had never come and never bit Mother before. I said nothing wrong. It was apparent that Father had told them not to let Mother know that he came before. She listened to Father's words, so she told Mother that Father was not here before. Did she say something wrong? Feng Ruqing caressed her forehead and asked, Qin Han, be good. Tell Mother, why did your father come? Mother hates children who tell lies. Qin Han could say nothing. Her eyes widened as she pointed with her fingers pathetically, Brother Fu Qin, why is Mother so clever? She knows that I'm lying. Fu Qin wanted to scold and ask her if she was stupid. But he was afraid of Qin Han's tears, so he did not yell at her. The only thing was that they grew up together. The same spirit water was used to pour on them, so why did she not possess half of his intelligence? How idiotic. He hated to admit that he knew her. What should he do? Chapter 265. Leaving Fu Qin glared at Qin Han for a while and turned to look at Feng Ruqing. You had absorbed too much of spiritual power and almost exploded and died just now. The state preceptor wanted to save you, so he kissed you to help you to take away the spiritual power. Mother, the state preceptor did it to save you. Please don't kill yourself. Since Qin Han, that little girl, had accidentally let the cat out of the bag, he could not hide it anymore. He sighed and told her everything about why Nan Xian had come just now. Feng Ruqing was stunned. She was not dreaming. The state preceptor did really. The young girl caressed her lips with her slender fingers. She could still feel the warmth left by the man on her lips. She looked regretful because that would be great if only she was not unconscious. But it was a pity that she was unconscious during that time, so she did not get to have a chance to taste the state preceptor. Fu Qin looked at Feng Ruqing nervously. His heart almost jumped out when he saw Feng Ruqing frown. It could not be that. Mother really wanted to kill herself. What a pity. Feng Ruqing sighed. That was my first time to get such close contact with the state preceptor, but I was in a coma. I'm really curious, how did the state preceptor look when he is such a cool and indifferent person all the time? Feng Ruqing could actually imagine how he looked like. Nan Xian was always indifferent. Even if he kissed her, he would look calm and cool, just as usual. It would be impossible for him to have any other expressions. Fu Qin had nothing to say. How could this be different from what he had expected? Chainer. Feng Ruqing crawled out from the fallen leaves and immediately saw the young guy who was unconscious behind her. The young guy was covered in blood as if he had fallen into a blood pool. She turned pale and felt her heart fluttered in pain. She pressed on her chest tightly and swiftly ran toward Qin Qin. Fu Qin, Qin Han, what happened to Chainer? Why did she awake from a coma while Chainer was in such a dire state, Mother? Qin Han's big eyes blinked and continued, Brother Fu Qin had mentioned that the spiritual power in your body was overloading. You couldn't absorb all the power and almost exploded. Before Father came, this human had helped you to absorb the power, and then he ended up like that. Oh, speaking of which, Brother Fu Qin wanted him to absorb only a little at first. No one would ever think that he was reluctant to let go. He would not have suffered such damage if I could have dragged him away. Qin Han was afraid that Feng Ruqing would misunderstand him, so she quickly explained for Fu Qin. Feng Ruqing's heart ached more. How could she not understand that Chainer had ended up like this because he wanted to save her? Besides, Chainer had absorbed only a little of that power but had ended up being hurt so badly. What about the state preceptor then? Was his situation worse? Fu Qin, was the state preceptor injured? Fu Qin looked confused. Technically, nobody could absorb this power other than you. However, he looked fine when he left. It seemed like he looked fine. Feng Ruching's eyes looked sunken. Looks fine doesn't mean that he was not hurt, the state preceptor, that man always conceals his feelings. Even if he were hurting, he would never let anyone know. I have some spirit herb soup left with me when I was saving the tiger cub. Feed it to Chainer, and we will leave this place soon. She had to go back to the imperial palace to make sure that the state preceptor was safe. She would only be at ease if he was safe. Chapter 266, leaving Tu Chen's breathing recovered gradually after he drank the spirit herb soup. Before drinking the soup, the wounds on his body had almost healed. However, the blood on his body was still frightening to see. Feng Ruching turned to Fu Qin. She cocked her eyebrows and asked, "By the way, have you guys told me how you came out of the medium?" Fu Qin scratched his little head in confusion. "I don't know either. We can come and go freely from the medium when Mother has broken through Spirit Warrior Tier. However, only Qing Han and I can do it, those spirit beasts are still not allowed to do so." Spirit Warrior Tier. Feng Ruching was astonished. She quickly went through her own power and now, she was already a Spirit Warrior Tier. She had made it to Spirit Warrior Tier. Which meant that she was one step closer to sleeping with the state preceptor. Bravo! Fu Qin, how can I send this area into the medium? Feng Ruching fell silent for a while. After all, this was the place where the 9th Emperor had lived before. The previous area in the medium was a fake one, she should change it quickly. Mother, you had destroyed the tactical formation and even the power that protects the altar as well. You can directly shift the area into the medium. Fu Qin was quite emotional. He had grown up in this place since he was young, so he was reluctant to leave. Feng Ruching closed her eyes after hearing what Fu Qin had told her. A thought flashed through her mind. When she opened her eyes, she found out that she was already standing on the grass. The area she was at before had disappeared without leaving any trace. Mother, how did you manage to bring the eye of the spirit spring water here as well? Fu Chen's voice filled with shock came from the medium at the same time. Feng Ruching was shocked. She had vanished under the blue sky as she moved. She was already standing inside the medium when she opened her eyes. Right in front of the living area, stood the eye of the spirit spring which was gently pouring out spring water. When there was the eye of the spirit spring, there was no river. Therefore, the spring water that seeped into the grass was spiritual. The already verdant grass got lusher as it seemed to contain a vague layer of spiritual qi. Qing Han swallowed her saliva and said, "Brother Fu Qin, why do I feel that the grass has become tastier than before?" Fu Qin remained silent for a while. All the herbs in the world will turn into spirit herbs if they have sufficient spiritual qi nurturing them. The only thing is that the grass is not an herb, so it's impossible for the grass to cure and heal diseases but only has added spiritual power. But what puzzled him was that Mother had only wanted to shift the living area into the medium. How could the eye of the spirit spring be brought inside as well? If I knew earlier that the eye of the spirit spring could follow me everywhere, why would I waste so much time filling up a jar of spirit water? Feng Ruching was vexed. She had spent too much time on the spirit water. She could have left this place earlier. However, her ability would grow faster since she had the inexhaustible spirit water from now on. Mother, Qin Chen will wake up soon. You should leave the medium first. It would be troublesome if he doesn't see you. Okay. Feng Ruching nodded slightly. Her body followed her into the medium at the same time. If Qin Chen could not see her when he woke up, it would really be troublesome. Feng Ruching stopped examining the eye of Spirit Spring as she thought of Qin Chen. Just like the mist, she floated and drifted away from the medium. Qin Chen opened his eyes as soon as she left the medium. The young guy's eyes were still crystal clear but looked blank. He breathed a sigh of relief after he saw Feng Ruching safe and sound. Chapter 267, Leaving 3, Chin Chin, good to see you're fine. The young guy closed his eyes. A figure came to his mind. That figure had emerged when he was in a coma. His lips lifted into a slight arch. Just now, it was that man who had saved Chin Chin. Chainer, let's go home. Feng Ruching held out her hand to the young boy. Just like the sun, she smiled brightly. The young guy was stunned. His eyes met her warm eyes as he looked up. Just like the warmth of the sun, her look melted his dusty heart. Okay, he put his hands above the young girl's hands. Home, such a word, that was the first time he had heard the word after all these years. Chin Chen laughed. His smile was pure and innocent. Just like the first snow in the winter, the smile was clean and clear from impurity. Yup, he had a home from now on. Where there was her, there was his home. Feng Ruching dragged along Chin Chen and headed back toward the place where they came from. Tang Zi and the others were still waiting for her over there. Feng Ruching initially wanted to bring all her people to cultivate here, but she had accidentally taken away the eye of the spirit spring. Without the spirit water, the spiritual qi in the spring would slowly fade, thin down and vanish in the end. So, there was no reason for them to return again. She had already seen the people who were cultivating in the spirit spring from afar. She gently smiled as a clear and crystal voice spoke. Tang Zi, Ling Yun, everyone can get up now. It's time to go. Tang Zi suddenly opened her eyes as she heard the familiar voice. First, she was horrified to see Chin Chen, who was covered in blood. As she turned around, a stunning face came into view. The young girl was smiling a little. She had the softest skin, a pair of moon-like eyebrows, and a slim body. She had everything that a girl needed to stand out. Her shirt was loose and big, but still, it could not hide her subtle beauty. The young lady was as beautiful as a painting, everyone who stood beside her looked dull. You! Master! Tang Zi's eyes widened. The past Feng Ruching was beautiful enough to amaze her. However, her face was a little chubby, and her body was a little plump during that time, which could only be considered as a beautiful lady. But now, even Tang Zi herself as a woman, her heart could not help but beat for Feng Ruching when she saw her. She was so beautiful that her beauty could cause the fall of a castle. I feel like I have fallen in love with Master. Ling Yun pressed her chest with her hand as her heart thumped. What should I do? I want to marry her. Tease me. Do you guys want to leave or not? Feng Ruching shrugged. Her voice brought everyone back to their senses. Your Highness, a woman from the iron-blooded troop jumped out and quickly walked to Feng Ruching's side. She asked in a shy voice. I have always wanted to ask you how you managed to reduce your weight. You want to be on a diet? Feng Ruching smiled a little as she tipped the girl's chin. Feng Ruching smiled brightly. I will make you some herbal dishes when I'm back. Taking it daily will do. Spirit herb dishes were different from the usual dishes. It contained spiritual qi, so the dishes would not go bad easily and could be preserved for a longer period. The only effect was that the taste might change a little. The spirit dishes could be preserved for a longer period if they were put and kept inside the boxes that were used to keep spirit herbs. The girl's heart was beating fast. Thank you, Your Highness. Chapter 268, Leaving 4, Let's go back. Chainer, you should wash and clean yourself. We will go first and wait for you in the front. Chainer was covered in blood, and that was very inconvenient for them. Okay. Chin Chen smiled lightly and said, I'll be there soon. In the forest of spirit beasts. Two little girls who were dressed in rags were carefully walking in the forest carefully. They were afraid of interfering with the forest spirit beasts. They only dared to walk around the outer periphery of the forest because they were afraid to bump into danger if they go any deeper. Little lady, we have been walking around here for several months, and we still cannot find them. Have they gone back? Xian Ning pouted as her eyes were filled with grief and resentment. They were suffering for the past several months. Those days were not a life for a human to live. They were on small rations, and they could not even sleep well at night. The worst was that they had not eaten meat for such a long time. There was quite an amount of meat in the forest of spirit beasts, but both of them had no courage to hunt those spirit beasts. So, they could only survive through the dry food. They were going to go insane if they continued staying there. Shut up, Qian Ning. The lowly frowned. Her unkempt hair concealed her beautiful face. I won't go back if I can't find Feng Ruqing. Why can't I live here if she could go through this life for such a long time? I'm not going to lose to her. No matter who she lost to, she would never lose to her rival in love. Qian Ning opened her mouth as she wanted to give her some advice. However, she knew well that whatever little lady had decided, any pieces of advice would be in vain. All she could do was to obey and follow her behind. Suddenly, a dynamic power struck from the sky and fell in front of Tang Yin. Tang Yin jumped in shock and stepped back quickly. She was frightened as she kept her hands on her chest all the time. It scared me to death. Were they mad? Did they not know that she was so timid that she could not stand being frightened? So you're Tang Yin. The middle-aged man looked at Tang Yin coldly. His eyes were gleaming with murderous vibes. You are, little lady. Qian Ning dragged Tang Yin back panically. Her eyes were wild with terror. He comes from the Fengyun clan. That cloud-shaped jade pendant on his waist is the trademark of Fengyun clan. Tang Yin finally noticed the jade pendant on the man's waist. With a glint in her eyes, she forced herself to calm down and asked, I, Tang Yin, have never offended people from the Fengyun clan. Why have you come for me? The middle-aged man huffed. You are stealing away the man from the young lady of our house, so I'm here to kill you. The young lady of your house? Tang Yin was stunned. Hasn't the master of the Fengyuns disappeared for decades? How could she have a daughter? The young lady of our house is not the daughter of the master of the Fengyuns. The young lady is her disciple. The man did not want Tang Yin to die with the truth. So before he killed her, he told her everything from the beginning to the end. As always, the Fengyuns would tell anyone the cause and effect to anyone before killing them. Their style was, to be honest. Tang Yin stepped back as her eyes turned dull. Due to her physical condition, she had never had any interaction with the man from the secular world throughout the years. Not to mention the man who belonged to the young lady of Fengyun Manor. The only man she had ever reached was Nan Xian. Although she was Nan Xian's fiancé, she had never met Nan Xian before. Also, she had agreed on the arranged marriage because everyone in the clan was praising Nan Xian in front of her. They even told her that Nan Xian had brought up the wedding on his own. Such a wonderful man. It was natural for her to accept when he decided on the wedding. Surely it didn't mean that. The Fengyun clan's young lady was Nan Xian. Chapter 269, Prowling Wolf in Forest, a Falling Sword from Sky. I know. Little lady, I'm not going. Qian Ning pulled Tang Yin's sleeves in tears. She looked just like a pathetic pussycat, her little face was dirty. Tang Yin glanced at her in exasperation. Go away as I said. What's all that crap for? I'm the little lady, and you shall listen to me. Now you better get out of my way as far as you can. What a silly girl. She would only contribute to the risk of death if she stayed. It was better for her to go back and find someone to avenge her, or else she would be killed without anyone knowing. The middle-aged man stared at Tang Yin coldly and smirked. Little girl, even if our Feng Yun clan is not afraid of your Tang family, he squinted coldly. I didn't plan to let your little girl go. Whoa. The middle-aged man had no intention to talk nonsense to these little two girls anymore. A ray of light flashed from the sword and promptly rushed toward Tang Yin. Tang Yin was stunned. She did not have any chance to react as she never thought that the guy would be that serious. She could only stare at the sword's ray rushing forward. Her face was pale. Little lady, look out. Qian Ning was alert and quick enough to throw herself on Tang Yin and drag her aside. They were lucky enough to evade that attack, however, because Tang Yin had evaded that sword's ray, the uncontrollable sword's ray turned and struck her from behind. As Feng Ruqing left that area, she wanted to leave the forest of spirit beasts with a troop of spirit beasts. Tiger Mama came forward and offered to send them away. Along the journey, they did not encounter any of the high-tier spirit beasts under Tiger Mama's protection. They saved a lot of time as the journey was unimpeded. Tiger Mama, we have reached the forest's peripheral. We are safe now, and it's good to have you with us till here. You may go first. Feng Ruqing remained silent and turned to look at the three-striped tiger. Are you sure that you don't want to come with us? The three-striped tiger growled and shook its head. It nudged the tiger cub and licked the back of Feng Ruqing's hand, hinting that it had entrusted her with the cub. Well. Feng Ruqing sighed as she knew the three-striped tiger's intention. She did not want to force the tiger to. If you wish to see the little tiger in the future, you can come to me in the Princess Manor. I will inform the guards that you may enter at any time. The three-striped tiger seemed reluctant to part with the little tiger and Feng Ruqing. Even like Snow Wolf and the other spirit beasts, it hated the feeling to part with them after spending a few months together. Comparing to the three-striped tiger's unwillingness, the Snow Wolf was so excited at the thought of leaving the forest of spirit beasts. The wolf could finally go home and eat the divine spirit fruits. Also, the wolf could continue to be the butler Snow Wolf. On top of that, it did not have to live under the three-striped tiger's tyranny anymore. How could anyone know how it had suffered and endured all these difficulties when its master was not around for the past few days? That was why the Snow Wolf did not look at the three-striped tiger. Without giving any concern to the tiger, the Snow Wolf walked to a little flower and plucked it using its mouth. It wished to give it to Feng Ruqing as a gift. After leaving its master for several months, it wondered if it was still its master's favorite. It had to please its master as this could help to up its position in the Princess Manor. Swoosh! As the Snow Wolf was going closer to Feng Ruqing, a sword's ray struck through the forest and hit the Snow Wolf's paw. Awoo! The Snow Wolf howled miserably as it rolled on the ground in pain. It almost cried as it covered its paw with another paw tightly. Chapter 270, Prowling Wolf, Falling Sword 3. Before the wolf knew which little devil was tricking it, another sword struck from its behind. The Snow Wolf had learned from its mistake. It immediately rolled aside a few times as soon as it felt that something was wrong. However, the sword still slashed its skin. It cried out loud from that prickling pain. The sword came back and forth in the forest continuously. Little Wolfie. Feng Ruqing's face was distorted. She reached out to the Snow Wolf immediately. Her expression was dull and scared as she noticed the scar and wound on the Snow Wolf. It was as if a violent storm was going to explode inside her eyes. Tang Zi, take care of Snow Wolf. She picked up the sword which hurt the Snow Wolf. Her voice was calm, but frightening. Ling Yun subconsciously swallowed hard. She felt that, the princess, was so strong now, and that creeped everyone out. The princess was really mad this time. Qin Chen said nothing and followed behind Feng Ruqing. The three-striped tiger entrusted the little tiger to Tang Zi. Suddenly, it ran toward Feng Ruqing and growled as a signal for Feng Ruqing to sit on its back. Feng Ruqing did not hesitate. She leaped and jumped onto the back of the three-striped tiger. Soon, they rushed in the direction where the sword came from, little lady. Surrounded by fallen leaves. Qian Ning lifted Tang Zi up. Her eyes were filled with tears and desperation. She bit her lips and said, "Little lady, why don't you leave first? I can block it for you." Tang Zi smiled bitterly. "He's Dark Warrior Tier. You can't stop him." The Dark Warrior Tier was stronger than Spirit Warrior Tier. Qian Ning could not stop him with her power. The middle-aged man smiled coldly. "I didn't expect that your little female servant has the power of Spirit Warrior Tier. It's hard to imagine that she can be the safeguard for the Tang family with such power. What a waste. She helped you to dodge my attack twice but not the third time." Spirit Warrior Tier was not something unusual in the reclusive world. However, Spirit Warrior Tier was considered very strong for a female servant. At such a young age, this little female servant was already at Spirit Warrior Tier, yet the Tang family did not cultivate her but let her be a servant. The middle-aged man was already in front of Tang Yin in just a few steps. He strangled Tang Yin's neck with his palm violently. Just like the cruel killers, he stared at her coldly. "Bear in mind that it's the Fengyun clan that killed you. All of these happened because you have messed with our little lattice man." Tang Yin had difficulties in breathing as the middle-aged man strangled her harder. Her face turned red as blood oozed from the corner of her lips from being strangled. "Little lady." Qian Ning was pale as she quickly ran toward Tang Yin. Tang Yin struggled to open one of her eyes. She spat two words with a dry, rough voice. "Quick, run." Bang! The middle-aged man swung his hand. A gust of wind whirled from his palm and swept Qian Ning away. Qian Ning coughed and spurted a mouthful of blood. She fell on the ground heavily. She could not get up again, no matter how hard she tried. She was utterly helpless. "Little lady, anyone, please save little lady. Anyone please, save them." Suddenly, a violent gust of wind blew from the back. A three-striped tiger crashed into the middle-aged man of the Fengyun clan as Qian Ning looked up. Chapter 271, Prowling Wolf in Forest, Falling Sword from Sky 3. A young woman sat atop the three-striped tiger. She only saw the young girl's silhouette. Melancholic, and in a bright red gown. Not even an art masterpiece could match the slender and thin figure of the young woman. "Miss, I think I saw a goddess." Qian Ning was stunned by the slowly descending young woman and her tiger mount. Her eyes were filled with fascination. It was unclear whether the appearance of this righteous young woman at the most critical moment aroused hope in her heart once again. It made her feel that the mere appearance of this young woman could instantly outmatch all the girls in the world. Unparalleled grace, second to none. Incomparable. Bam! The three-striped tiger's knock made the middle-aged man stumble a few steps back. The young girl who was held hostage fell as his hands loosened. As if by chance, she fell right into Feng Ruqing's embrace. Tang Yin opened her eyes and saw her beautiful face. Like a perfect jade, there was no flaw to her beauty. Feng Ruqing wrapped her hand around Tang Yin's waist. Her brows slightly furrowed, her lips gently pursed. Her face appeared calm, but a storm seemed to be brewing underneath the serenity. Tang Yin had a blank look on her face. The young woman's face seemed familiar. It looked like Feng Ruqing, who had lost 20 kilograms. It that you? The young woman's eyes narrowed. Like a bottomless pit, it sucked all her heart out. At that moment, Tang Yin's heart skipped a beat. She felt warmth in her embrace, and that made her very relieved. Go away. Feng Ruqing abruptly threw Tang Yin off from her embrace. She fell right by Qian Ning's feet. Her head was spinning and she could see stars in her eyes. Little lady. Qian Ning quickly crawled to Tang Yin's side. She looked skeptically at the young lady on top of the three-striped tiger. Why do I feel that lady looks a bit like Princess Feng Ruqing? Tang Yin gently closed her eyes. It's her, there is no mistaking her voice, she is. Feng Ruqing was her love rival, but why did she save her in the end? Moreover, facing a dark warrior tier enemy, just how strong was Feng Ruqing? She confronted the dark warrior tier enemy just to save her. Sob. Little lady, Qian Ning was bawling. This Feng Ruqing is such a kind person, she threw her own life aside to save a stranger's. Tang Yin's eyes were fixated on Feng Ruqing. Her eyes were shining brilliantly. Moreover, Qian Ning wiped the tears as she stuttered, she did not want little lady to get involved in the battle, that was why she threw you to me, she did all these to protect little lady. Feng Ruqing, the kindest person in the world. Feng Ruqing, who was labeled as a kind person. In actual fact, she caught hold of Tang Yin only because she fell right in front of her. The three-striped tiger disliked being touched by outsiders, so naturally she wouldn't let her fall onto the tiger. As of throwing her off, that was because she was in her way. She was affecting her quest for Wolfie's revenge. Who are you? The middle-aged person's face darkened. He coldly chided, who are you to meddle with the affairs of the Fengyun clan? Feng Ruqing's face was calm. She raised the sword in her hand and calmly asked, does this sword belong to you? The middle-aged man was startled. That was the sword he had used to attack Tang Yin. Tang Yin had dodged it, but he did not expect the sword to fall in the lad's hands. Chapter 272, Prowling Wolf, Falling Sword 4. He laughed cynically. It's mine, so what? Well, if it's yours, that makes it easy then. Feng Ruqing's lips curled into a smile. A hint of anger burned in her eyes. The air became eerily terrifying. This bastard had made the little wolf, which she would not even raise her sword against, bleed. Since you used this sword to hurt, then today, I shall use your own sword to kill you. As Feng Ruqing's words dropped, the three-striped tiger let out an angry roar and charged toward the middle-aged man. A Tier 5 spirit beast. The middle-aged man's face fell after noticing the tiger's aura. Previously, young lady had said that Tang Yin only had one female servant with her. That was why the Fengyun clan had sent him alone. The Fengyun clan members had their hands full, there was no need to waste additional manpower. Who would have thought that a woman would appear out of nowhere, with a Tier 5 spirit beast as mount to boot? Little girl, don't you know who I am? The middle-aged man's eye grew cold. I am from the Fengyun family. If you rescue the person marked for death by my family, then my family will never let you go. Feng Ruqing licked her lower lip gently, her smile carried a hint of recklessness and ferocity. I couldn't give a damn if you were the Fengyuns or the Lians one, those who harm my wolf deserve death. In the nearby maple groves, Tang Yin sat quietly. She was mesmerized by Feng Ruqing. A complex feeling filled her heart. She went to such extent for me, she knew he came from the Fengyun family, yet she chose to oppose them. How detestable it was that she had initially approached Feng Ruqing just to get close to Nan Xian. She deceived her just to get with Nan Xian. A tinge of regret rose in Tang Yin's heart. If only she had known that Feng-Ruching would go to such extents for her, she would never have made Feng-Ruching her rival. But, what did she mean when she said he had hurt her wolf? Tang Yin asked as she went silent. Qian Ning tilted her head and pondered. She probably meant to say her love, she probably had a slip of the tongue. Tang Yin was dazed. The image of her in warm embrace rose once again in her mind. Her petite face went red. She lowered her head and drew circles on the ground with her finger. She was her love, this feeling, it was not. It was not bad. Oh yeah, little lady, Feng-Ruching has reached Spirit Warrior tier and she's got a tier 5 Spirit Beast as her mount. She has become so strong in just a few months. Qian Ning's palm was on her heart as she admired the young lady riding on top of the tiger. Tang Yin pursed her lips. How dare you address her by her name? So rude. Little lady, you have changed, you are no longer the little lady I knew. Tang Yin bit her lip as she looked at Feng-Ruching. The Fengyan clan has great strength, even the Tang family would not resist the Fengjians for a talentless hack like me. But she, as my love rival, did so, therefore, if she really wanted to marry Nan Xian, I will give up. I owe her this, little lady. Qian Ning was in shock. Didn't you really love young Master Nan Xian? Tang Yin lowered her head. Yes. I like Nan Xian. The elders all spoke of him as the gentlest of gentlemen, like a pale moon. Although I have never met him before, I keep longing to see him. But if Feng-Ruching were the one to take his hand in marriage, then I will just give up. Chapter 273. Why is the wolf always the unlucky one? I am a man as gentle as the pale blue moon, no woman in the world can probably resist a man like that. But Feng-Ruching gave herself up to save her. How could she ever return her kindness with a vengeance, by stealing her man? Moreover, a man that she had never met before. Boom! The air crackled and produced a wave at the downward stroke of the long sword. The middle-aged man hurriedly took a few steps back. His face was pale and filled with blurriness. He would not be scared if it were Feng-Ruching alone. The tier 5 spirit beast made even touching her sleeve very difficult. Roar! The tiger kicked up some dust and roared angrily. In a split second, it had already came up behind the middle-aged man. The tiger violently knocked him in the back with its head. The knock was very savage. It sent the middle-aged man stumbling a few steps forward before regaining his grounds. Bitch, you people have a death wish. The middle-aged man turned around, his eyes were fierce as he stared at the young woman riding atop the tiger. As Feng-Ruching stretched her hands out, the long sword began emitting a shimmering glow. The shimmering blade swished through the air in the direction of the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was still of dark warrior tier, after all. He turned to evade the sword. The blade grazed his hair and scattered them to the ground. Roar! The tiger did not give the man a chance to catch his breath. It charged toward him and knocked him off again. One was a tier 5 spirit beast, the other was of dark warrior tier. Although they were of the same level, the speed, toughness, and thick armored skin of the spirit beast surpassed those of a human. Being on the same level did not mean having the same strengths. Oof! The middle-aged man was unable to dodge the attack. He threw up a mouthful of blood. He strained his body a couple of times so that he did not fall from the sky. He wiped the blood off of the corner of his lips. His eyes darkened. With the tier 5 spirit beast around, he would not be able to do anything. He had to leave the area and report this matter back to the young lady at Fengyun Manor. Tang Yin, I will let you go since you have somebody to protect you today. You won't be so lucky next time. And the girl who dared to oppose the Fengians, she would not be let go of as well. Who said you could go? As the middle-aged man was about to turn around and leave, a chilling voice that sounded like a banshee came from behind him. The demonic voice did not stop the middle-aged man. Instead, he sped off to flee ahead. But he quickly stopped. He stopped because right in front of him was a young man who looked like a god slayer. The young man looked elegant in his green robes. He gently pursed his lips and stood coldly in front of the middle-aged man. He was emanating a terrifying aura that made one feel like one could instantly fall into a bottomless pit of hell at any moment. Demon. Somehow, that word appeared in his mind as he looked at the emotionless face of the youth. He had nothing to lose. He struck his palm against the young man's chest. The young man's eyes were deadpan. The blacks of his eyes were like two black holes, instantly casting fear in the middle-aged man's heart. As the winds of his palms were about to land, the young man's figure disappeared into thin air. When he reappeared, he was already standing behind the middle-aged man. A huge gust of wind began to blow around his body like a storm was about to hit. Boom! The middle-aged man took a hit on his back. His legs faltered, almost hitting the ground. As he was about to make his escape again, the three-striped tiger was already blocking his path. He had nowhere to escape. Chapter 274. Why is the wolf always the unlucky one? 2. Think you can escape? Feng Rooking's face was as calm as ever. But anyone could see that she was burning with rage. Just thinking about how this bastard had hurt her little wolf made her raise her sword angrily. All the spirit energy converged on the blade. The blade appeared to be covered by a swirl of storm. As the storm grew more violent, dust flew all around in the air. Tang Yin stared blankly at the young lady in the storm. Her heart felt like it was being pounded at. Even her eyes were fixated on her. They were filled with infatuation and admiration. Boom! All the sword's aura suddenly came down without warning. The middle-aged man was unprepared and fell down under the devastating blows. Blood was gushing from his mouth uncontrollably. Previously, it would not be difficult to dodge her attacks as she was merely of spirit warrior tier. But something got entangled with his feet just now, and he could not move his legs. He could only look as the sword's aura landed on his body. The agonizing pain was like a sharp blade slicing his flesh away, shattering his will. How could this be? He was of dark warrior tier. How could he be defeated by one of spirit warrior tier? However, he did not realize that the vines behind him were slowly dwindling away as if they had never appeared. Although I wasn't able to pull Chin Chin just now, tying up someone is a piece of cake. Let's see if mother doesn't break his legs if he tries to run again. Qing Han said in exasperation. How dare he bullied mother's wolf? Had he asked this daughter's permission first? Moreover, why could he not just admit his mistakes when mother came to settle a score with him? How dare he run away? Not admitting his own mistake, he could not blame anyone else even if he were to be beaten to death. Qing Han had already forgotten at this point that Feng Ruqing had attacked without explaining why. That middle-aged man did not know that he had hurt the snow wolf by accident. How could he know how he had offended Feng Ruqing? Feng Ruqing moved her hand in a downward motion. A sword beam flashed downward again. Let's see if you still dare to be so arrogant. Do you still dare to bully others? Do you still dare to hurt the innocent? A sword beam followed each of Feng Ruqing's sentences, stopping the middle-aged man's words hanging on the edge of his lips. No, I don't dare to. The excruciating pain made his face pale. Tears were coming out from his eyes. He gritted his teeth and rolled around in pain. Do you admit your mistake then? Feng Ruqing did not use the sword this time but instead returned it to the man. She stretched her legs and stepped on his wound. The pain made him scream. I admit, the pain was unbearable. Forget about admitting his mistake, he would even call her his granny if Feng-Ruching would let him go. So where did you go wrong? Feng-Ruching's face was cold. The middle-aged man was almost in tears. I won't dare be arrogant again, I won't dare to bully others again, and I won't dare harm the innocents. He repeated whatever Feng-Ruching had used to scold him just now. Perhaps then Feng-Ruching could forgive him. Feng-Ruching sighed. It seems that you don't know what your mistakes were, then I shall beat you until you admit your faults. The snow wolf was injured twice by this guy, and still, he would not admit it. If that was the case, she should just beat him until he begged for the snow wolf's forgiveness. The middle-aged man was beyond confused. Weren't those her words just now? He had admitted his mistakes, he had even apologized, why would she not let him go? Chapter 275. Why is the wolf always the unlucky one? 3. All was calm in the forest. Other than the agonizing screams of the middle-aged man that sounded like pigs in the slaughterhouse, everyone else had no reaction. Their expressions were as calm as ever. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth resentfully. He slowly picked up a small piece of stone. He knew he was not able to hurt Feng-Ruching as she had a Tier 5 spirit beast guarding her. So he threw the stone with all his might at Tang Yin. Although it was but a small stone, it was imbued with the spirit power of Dark Warrior Tier. It would be impossible for Tang Yin to dodge it at her level. She would be severely wounded even if she could even make it out alive. After the snow wolf was injured, Feng-Ruching brought Qin Chen and the three-striped tiger to avenge it. The snow wolf, who was crying in pain, recovered shortly after consuming the herbal fruit. It, too, wanted to know which son of a bitch had hurt it. So when its wounds healed, it leaped up instantly and went toward the place where it smelled like a battle was raging. One look was all it took as it saw the middle-aged man who was being stepped on by Feng-Ruching. The enraged snow wolf howled aggravatedly. Look at the snow wolf's master, a natural queen. Anyone would yield like an ant under her foot. How fortunate was the snow wolf to have met such a brilliant and beautiful master. At that moment, the snow wolf smiled contentedly as its heart was filled with joy. Its feet were quick as it dashed toward Feng-Ruching. It wanted to give her a wolf hug. Almost immediately, it felt that something was wrong. In front of it, a sharp piece of stone flew at the speed of the wind. The stone hit the wolf's body as it could only stand and look. Oof! Awoo! Blood spewed out of the wolf's mouth. Its cry was more harrowing than before as it collapsed in front of Tang Yin. It could not even stand on its own. Li. Little lady, when I was gathering information on Feng-Ruching the last time, it seemed that she keeps a wolf. I've seen it on a portrait before, it looked exactly like this courageous wolf. Qian Ning could not believe her eyes. Her hands covered her mouth tightly. Her whole body was trembling. The wolf. Feng-Ruching's wolf took the bullet with its body to save her little lady. The pet sure took its cue from its owner. Feng-Ruching's whole family, including those spirit beasts, were too benevolent. Tang Yin's feelings became even more complex. She felt deeply touched. She thought she would definitely be hurt the moment the stone was thrown. As she was about to accept her fate, something flashed before her eyes. She saw a snow wolf heroically standing in front of her. It blocked the stone that was about to hit her. What a brilliantly courageous and benevolent snow wolf. Tang Yin's eyes looked downward. Compared to the wolf, she was too useless. She could not even deal with the enemy. At first, Feng-Ruching had made an enemy out of the Feng-Yun clan just to save her. Now the snow wolf had given its own life to save her. She owed the princess too much. So much so that she could not pay her back in one lifetime. Tang Yin thought about what the girl had told her. She bit her lip hard. Her eyes were cold. Tranny, rich bully, an oppressor of women and a force against men, what a bunch of crap. If she were really an oppressor of women and a force against men, she hoped that Feng Ruqing would be more forceful toward her. She had never seen someone as kind as her. Chapter 276. Why is the wolf always the unlucky one? 4. Bastard. Feng Ruqing blazed with fury as she saw the snow wolf collapse. Her cold gaze turned toward the middle-aged man. Damn it, tiger, tear his body apart for me at once. She wanted to leave his remains intact at first if he had only admitted to his wrongdoings. As for forgiving him, that would be impossible. She did not want the Feng Yun clan to look for her for trouble before she was ready. The consequences would be dire if she were to let him go back to his den. Who knew that not only was he unrepentant, he had even hurt her wolf again? Did he really think that she had no temper? He deserved death. Those who came to hurt her wolf deserved death. After giving out her command, she could not care less about the man and immediately rushed toward the wolf. This time around, she did not take out the herbal fruit. Instead, it was the medicinal spirit soup leftover from the three-striped tiger. The wolf quickly guzzled the soup. The pain on his body gradually subsided, but the pain in its heart was still deep. Why was it always the one to get hurt? Previously it was slashed a couple of times while picking flowers for its master. Now it was pierced by a stone when all it wanted to do was to give its owner a hug. Sob, so hurtful, so pitiful, it needed to be petted, and cuddled, and even swung up like a baby. The snow wolf felt more hurt as it thought more about it. It rubbed its head against the back of Feng Ruqing's palm, its eyes grew teary. It was heart-wrenching. Everything's going to be okay, I shall avenge you. Feng Ruqing petted the wolf on its head. I'm here, no one will harm all of you again. All of you meant the snow wolf and the members of the iron-blooded army. But then, Tang Yin and Qian Ning came forward on their own. Tang Yin looked downward at her finger. Her face was red as she looked at Feng Ruqing from the corner of her eyes. I'm sorry about what happened before. I shouldn't have been rude to you. Feng Ruqing was taken aback. She had only noticed Tang Yin, who had been on the sidelines up until now. You're still here. Tang Yin became even more embarrassed. So it was true that Feng Ruqing had thrown her aside to prevent her from coming in harm's way. She had even tried to make an escape for her by stopping the man from the Feng Yun clan. Will you accept my apology? Tang Yin's voice was soft like a fly's. If it was not because Feng Ruqing had a pair of good ears, she would not have been able to hear her. The gears in Feng Ruqing's mind spun for a while. She furrowed her brows. You are always trespassing, and that does trouble me. But you didn't do much, so there's no need to apologize. Other than climbing over the fence, Tang Yin really did not do anything. Tang Yin bit her lip, her petite face grew even redder. I will not climb over the wall anymore. Will you let me stay in the manor? I can be your servant. I will do anything. Qian Ning was dumbfounded like she was jolted by lightning. Little lady, I thought you said you were willing to let go of Nan Xian because she was your savior. But why do I think that your love has shifted to someone else? I am very poor. Feng Ruqing's brows were cocked. I can't afford freeloaders. Tang Yin was overjoyed. She took out her storage pouch. I have money, I am rich. If you let me stay in the princess manor, I could pay you rent every day. I could even leash Qian Ning to you. Please just let me stay in the manor. Qian Ning was speechless. Little lady, have you ever asked how I would feel? Qian Ning wanted to cry out of grief, but she held her tears back for her little lad's sake. She could only glare at her with hateful eyes. Ha ha ha, my men have finally arrived. The middle-aged man was no longer cowardly begging for his life. His laugh was boastful. Come, kill them all. So what if you have a tier 5 spirit beast? We have the number. That tier 5 spirit beast would not be able to protect so many of you. The strongest among the Fengian's reinforcement was only at spirit warrior tier, but as what the middle-aged man had said, their numbers were overpowering. The three-striped tiger could take them down with its strength, but due to their huge numbers, it would not be able to protect them all. Chapter 278, Comparing Numbers on My Turf. 2. Master. Tang Zi took a couple of steps forward, shielding Feng Ruqing. Her eyes were cold as she looked at the tightly packed hordes in the sky. The others too went forward, shielding Feng Ruqing in all directions. At that moment, everyone's fighting spirits were fired up like waves crashing the shore. Tang Zi had not only consolidated her foundations during her time at the Spirit Spring. She had reached the mid-level of Spirit Warrior tier in one shot, while Ling Yun had broken through the ranks of True Warrior tier to Spirit Warrior tier. Other than the two of them, the members of the Iron-Blooded Army too had breakthroughs and were all at True Warrior tier. They were merely a few steps away from Spirit Warrior tier. Tang Yin was taken aback. Her eyes filled with shock. She had heard from the Tang family before that the secular world lacked rare treasures and training grounds conducive for cultivators. Therefore it was very difficult to reach Spirit Warrior tier. There were people of Spirit Warrior tier in every country, but they could be counted on the hands. But Feng Ruqing as a princess had two members of Spirit Warrior tier protecting her as well as a tier 5 spirit beast. Exactly who told her that it was hard for those from the secular world to reach Spirit Warrior tier? Tang Yin's eyes then fell on Qin Chen, who was exuding an air of coldness. A sense of bemusement flashed in her eyes. It seemed like the young man's strength was so much stronger than anyone else in the Iron-Blooded Army. The next time someone told her about how terrible the secular world was, she would strangle them to death. Are you sure you want to compare numbers, in this forest of spirit beasts? Feng Ruqing waved her hand to hold off the three-striped tiger's advancement as she looked at the middle-aged man nonchalantly. She had already given him a few chances. It seemed like he did not even wish to have his body torn apart. Instead, he was asking for it to be shattered into tens of thousands of pieces. Ha! The middle-aged man spat out some blood. You think that your followers alone would be able to protect you? There are more than 10 advanced spirit warriors among my men. The others too are of spirit warrior tier. Feng Ruqing sighed gently. Well, if you were to find trouble with me somewhere else, maybe I would have made some effort to deal with these people. Why the forest of spirit beasts of all places? The middle-aged man was dumbfounded. It appeared that he did not understand Feng Ruqing's words. Feng Ruqing could not care less about the middle-aged man. She took out edible from the medium and neatly laid down herbal fruits across it. The snow wolf was dumbstruck. The master was carrying so many herbal fruits with her. Why did she not tell it? It had been quite some time since the wolf had had a taste of an herbal fruit. Three-striped tiger, ignore him first. Call out all the spirit beasts below tier 5 for me. Let them know that each kill is worth 10 herbal fruits. The more they kill, the more they get. He could have looked for trouble with her at any other place, but it had to be the forest of spirit beasts, of all places. Roar! The three-striped tiger released the middle-aged man as it let out a thunderous roar. Its voice spread across the forest of spirit beasts. The roar lingered. The spirit beasts were ruled by a strong differentiation of the tiered system. All spirit beasts below tier 5 would rush over when they hear the three-striped tiger's roar, but those above tier 5 would probably ignore it. Therefore, Enriching made it call out those below Tier 5. The middle-aged man's face grew stiff. As he was taken aback, dust was kicked off from across him. A countless number of spirit beasts were charging toward the members of the Fongyun clan from the cloud of dust. The Fongyun clan members were in a state of panic. Spirit beasts were already ferocious beasts, and on top of that, there were so many of them. There would be no chance of fighting them all. Therefore, even before the fight began, the Fongyun clan members were already thinking of retreating.